Today, let's take a look at Living Verse. This is Language Arts in Poetry, Volume 1 by Sheila Catanzarite. All right, story time for just a second. I was at one of the homeschool conferences and I saw this beautiful booth. Now, normally the booths that are set up, it's like white tablecloth, black tablecloth, blue tablecloth, just really basic. This one it looked like fake wood on the tables and then green leaves and just beautiful artwork around. So I was like, okay, this is looking cool. I walked over and I saw this Living Verse curriculum. And as I was flipping through, I just loved the colors in it, the layout of it. It's so simple and beautiful. And I love the idea of adding more poetry into our homeschool, which I've been wanting to do anyway. So I talked with the woman at the stand who actually turned out to be Sheila, the writer of the curriculum. And I said, hey, I do some videos. Is it okay if I just film a little bit, take a few pictures so that I can share it with my followers online? And she goes, yeah, that's fine. Then she came back and she was like, you know what, actually, why don't you just bring it home? And then you can look at it and then you can share it with them. And oh my gosh, I was so thankful because it's such a beautiful one. And I really like the idea of being able to dig into it more than what you can do during a homeschool conference. So it was so good. I brought it home. I looked through it all and I'm definitely excited to share this with you. Now it's Charlotte Mason based. So it's that living book style, not overwhelming, little bits of writing, and the writing is integrated with the poems that they're studying. There are 7 different poets that you'll be covering and 14 of their poems. And it's supposed to cover 28 weeks with 4 days a week, which I love that too. I don't really want to commit to anything 5 days a week. That feels like a lot of commitment to me. So 4 days a week works for me in my eclectic lifestyle. And I love how it incorporates language arts with the passage that you're using. I always think that that's going to be more beneficial to the student than just working with random sentences. Like, let's see it in context. And I'm so excited to show you how she breaks this down. So let's take a look inside. Time for a real page turner. Living Verse, Language Arts in Poetry, Volume 1 by Sheila Catanzarite. And her Volume 2 is Scripture. So that's really neat too. Now this is geared for grades 1 through 6, although she does say that the writing is really maybe at a 2nd to 5th grade level. But of course you want to make sure that it's geared for wherever your kid is at. Don't be too worried about ages and grades. Here she covers why poetry and how it's important for the student. And I love how she says beautiful and intellectual are the words that she uses to describe poetry. I think that's great. Okay, you'll see right here that every 4 weeks is focused on one poet. But within those 4 weeks, 2 of them are on one poem, and the second 2 are on a separate poem. So you'll be covering 7 poets and 14 poems over 28 weeks. And inside each of those ones, she's got all these different sections, which you'll see here. She explains how to use the book. Probably the important part here for this video to go over is the categories that it covers, which is grammar, punctuation, figurative language, poetic structure, poetic artistry. And then these skills will be worked on: critical thinking, critical reading, reading fluency, speaking fluency and articulation, creative expression, verbal, written, and visual, narration, verbal, written, and visual, dictation, handwriting, and spelling. Right here, you'll see that all these different objectives or sections are covered as you study each poet. So it starts with honoring the poet, and so you're going to learn about them, and you'll narrate and copy things. Then experiencing the poem. This is reading it and seeing what it means to the child. Marking the poem with grammar things and looking at vocabulary. So you might want to get a dictionary to go along with this so that they can look up the words that they don't know. Discovering the poem, looking at more things to do with grammar, figurative language, and poetic devices that the author used in the poem. Then you're interpreting it, what's the meaning, and reflecting on it. Copying it, which works on your handwriting. Express the poem. This is where they can express it by either drawing a picture or doing a tea time, reciting it, or writing it from dictation. And then modeling the poem. This is where they imitate it to make their own poetry. Then you go back up to here, the experience the poem, and this is for the second poem by that author. And you go all the way down through these steps for the second poem, and then at the very end of that week is when you celebrate the poet.
And that's when you look back through the different things that you've read from them and write down what they enjoyed most. Okay, and this shows you how it starts. We've got right here, the first poet tells a little bit about her life, and then they're going to copy a quote. And right up at the top, too, it makes it really clear what day and week you're on and what the objective is, what section in this list you're covering at this time, which is good because then you know, like, what's the point of this? Why are we doing this particular exercise? So here shows her first poem. They're going to read through it 2 times. And then in the box, they're going to illustrate or write what they imagined. So that's experiencing the poem. Now we're on to day 3. And every day is just these 2 pages. So I love that too. It's not overwhelming for the student, but it's really diving into the poetry. Now here we've got any new vocabulary words are going to be bolded. And then they're in the back in a glossary as well with their meaning. So if you come across a vocabulary word later and you're like, oh, what was that again? Or how can I say that in the best way? You can look it up quickly in the back, or your student can look it up for themselves. And then so for this day 3, marking the poem, you'll see that they've got these different steps that you're going to take to look at the poem itself. Day 4, we have discovering the poem. So today she's talking about similes. So you're going to read the poem again and then write down the similes that you hear and write down other words that you enjoy. So it's always following the same poem. I love how the poem is reprinted on each page in a different way. So that kind of breaks it up with the kid reading it, and then you don't have to flip back and forth to see it. Here we're at week 2, day 1. So you're still on this same poem about the hummingbird. And here you can see there's more steps. This is an all-in-one curriculum. There is no separate teacher's manual. This feels very simplified and to the point and no busy work, which I absolutely love. Okay, this would be day 3. Here, this is where they're expressing the poem. So here they can draw it or they can write it down. You do a tea time, tell somebody it. Over here is when they model the poem and they write their own poem. But again, she gives really specific details here. Write a poem about your favorite animal using the same rhyme scheme, A, B, C, B, as the hummingbird. It says add some nature words and include a simile. Now this, for a first grader, maybe you can write it down for them as they dictate it to you and help them work through it. Or if they're older at more the 6th grade level, then maybe they would have multiple stanzas that they would do and doing it on their own. So I just love how it's so open-ended like this, where various ages can work on it, and it meets them right where they're at. I love all the illustrations. She was specific, too, that she did not use AI for the illustrations, which I think is great. Let's keep it old school. I love seeing true artist work. Okay, so when we get to the back, look at that, turned right to it. Here's the glossary. So this includes all of the different words that they're going to be going over as they go through this curriculum for the year. And there's an answer key as well for the specific questions that were asked. Now, if you're not sure how to place your child in this, I would say look at the glossary. If they know all of these words already and they're very confident with them and comfortable with them, then maybe they would go up to the next level, and that's fine, to the scripture one, because that will add to this. That will have some of this in review with it, but then it adds in a lot more. But if these are things that either they're not confident with, or even just things that you think that they could review or they haven't learned yet, then this would be a great starting point for them with this curriculum. And I think, too, this is a curriculum for language arts, but if you were just looking to add poetry and a poetry study, even if you're not really Charlotte Mason based, I think this would be a great way to also add some poetry study into your homeschool. I hope this was a helpful look inside. Remember that real life is messy and beautiful, and better with books.
So I'm excited to show you inside this time. Let's take a look inside.
I don't think I want to say that. I think I like what I said. For each poet. Poem, poet. Oh, here, let me show you. This book is not very thick. That was very wordy. Well, and that's all she wrote on my camera, my ring light. I thought I unplugged it. I took off this part, put it aside, but I did not realize that this was still in the plug, and so it zapped me right up my arm. Oh my goodness gracious. Guess I'm investing in a new one of these.